Here of New Church Live. Great to have you joining us again as we continue on with our little set of Lent devotionals. And I like that idea. You know, a lot of the time in Christian circles, you'll hear about the idea of a devotional, and that's just something we devote a little time to, a little consideration of, and bring our hearts and our spirit to it as well. And we're doing that this Lent season. Lent, for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, is the 40 days leading up to Easter. And that's what we're going to be talking Easter weekend. So that's what we're going to be doing over these next 40 days. And today we're looking at a beautiful passage and some beautiful words from Jesus. And it deals again with this idea, you know, we've been talking about ashes actually, and you know, that the Lent is sort of about this descent. It's about right sizing ourselves. It's about a deep humility. It's about understanding parts in ourselves that are deeply broken. It's about sitting with other people in the parts of their lives that are deeply broken. And it's all sort of set up in this death, waiting, resurrection trinity, a trine that keeps on moving forward throughout the New Testament, which is kind of fascinating. And today we're looking at a question, you know, or a statement. You know, you can look at it either way. What needs to die? And the idea, and we'll touch on this several times throughout Lent. You know, the idea of a sacred no, the idea that some things just need to go in our lives. And it's interesting with Lent. There are things a lot of people decide they're going to give up on and no longer do this or that or the other thing. And it's not that those things in and of themselves are that important. It's that those things give us a sense of that there are things in our life that are in the way, and can we get rid of those, and what does that look like? So let's get started. And it's a very brief biblical passage here today, but one that's off quoted because it is indeed beautiful. This is Jesus in Luke 9. Whoever saves his life must lose it, and whoever loses her life for my sake will find it. What profit does she show who gains the whole world yet destroys herself in the process? So there's this beautiful dichotomy of whoever loses their life will gain it, whoever thinks all about their life will lose it. What does all that mean? Well, here's the part where translation gets to be a lot of fun. You know, actually, there's two different words that are used there, but they're both translated traditionally in the word life. But in the Greek, they're two different words. There's the word zoe and the word psyche, which is kind of interesting. Zoe is kind of this eternal part of our lives, our soul, that part that lives on. And that's the part where God is saying, like, look, that part is just going to continue to live. And it's literally the word life as in psyche, you know, our external projections, our mental paradigms of how the world works. Those are the things that will eventually go. I don't know whether somebody who's 18, 17 or 18, or maybe a 17 or 8-year-old watching us, for all I know, that's a hard one to understand when you're 17 or 18, because you're sort of coming into your own and forming your own opinions and having your own life, and that's all really good. And what I want to tell those 17 or 18-year-olds who might be watching is eventually you're going to hit a time where that's all going to go too, where you're just going to come to the point where you realize how little you know, and how little any of us really understand. And in a weird way, the journey really opens at that point. And that's what I want to share with you here. It's a great quote. I put it up yesterday and a number of people commented on it. So I thought I'd share that with this, our wider audience. This is from Richard Rohr, and he talks about the false self. And think of that about how the quote life that needs to die needs to go. And that our true self, that's the Zoe, that's the eternal life, that's what will start to come to the fore. So here's his language around it. Our false self, which we might also call our small self, is our launching pad, our body image, our job, our education, our clothes, our money, our car, our sexual identity, our success, and so on. These are the trappings of ego that we all use to get us through the ordinary days of life. They are a nice enough platform to stand on, but they are largely a projection of our self-image and our attachment to it. And isn't that interesting, right? Like, and David Brooks would call these the resume virtues, you know, with quotes around resume, obviously. You know, it's all those projections that we have of the way we want to sort of curate our life to other people. None of them will last. That's significant. When we are able to move beyond our false self at the right time and in the right way, it will feel precisely as if we have lost nothing. And that's such a beautiful statement there. In fact, it will feel like freedom and liberation when we are connected to the whole, to the unity, the universe, to the one song there, we could say. We no longer need to protect or defend the mere part. We are now connected to something inexhaustible. To not let go of our false self at the right time and in the right way is precisely what is meant to be stuck, trapped, and addicted to ourselves. If all we have at the end of our life is our false self, there will not be much need to eternalize. It is essentially transitory. Those costumes are all accidents, largely created by the mental ego. Our false self is what changes, passes, and dies when we die. Only our true self lives forever. I think that is spot on. And that's exactly what Jesus is talking about here. It's very, very, very much a Swedenborgian concept. You know that there's this old will that dies and a new will that grows, a heart of stone into a heart of flesh. It's all the same conversation. And one of the miracle parts of it to me, folks, is to consider this. You know, when that false self dies, it's so easy to think that, boy, what will life be like? Well, here's a crazy part too, is actually when you start coming from your true self, when we start to arrive at that point, we actually have even more strength in life because those people are able to speak without worrying about how it's received by other people. That's why I think some of those people are some of the most honest people in our culture. And not honest in a weaponized way or a cruel way or a mean way, any of that. They're just honest because they don't have all this stuff at stake. They're just coming from what God has given them to see. Doesn't mean they're always right. It means that they're right for them. But that part, folks, so important. So as we go into this weekend, what must die? Just think about what are the projections that you have out there in the world that probably need to go. And maybe just start at a simple point. You know, maybe what needs to go over the next couple of days is the need to be right. You know, and I'm saying the need. The need is being right's not a problem. The need to be right, that's always the challenge. And that's the need to be right always comes from the false self. So folks, that's the thought for today. And it sure is boy, there's so much great spiritual stuff out there. And I'm sure that's resonating with a lot of you folks that Richard Rohr wrote there, what Jesus's words are, you know, the Swedenborgian concept of old will to new will. Yeah, and just maybe for a little bit, again, progress, not perfection, maybe for a little bit, find a way to park the old stuff, welcome the new stuff this weekend and this Lent season. I do want to invite you folks as well before we get started here with a little meditation. I want to invite you as well. This weekend, we're going to be talking about grief on Sunday at New Church Live. It's a great service, both if you've lost someone who you've deeply loved, as well as just if you're going through the grieving process because you've lost something that you've deeply loved. And yeah, I think it's going to be a really powerful service. Sermon writing team did a great job helping out putting it together. So we hope you can join us Sunday morning, 10:30 a.m. So with that, friends, let's get a little meditation. So I'd ask you all to get a big breath here. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and. Be still. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, bring you peace, and bring you home. Amen. All right, friends. Well, again, great joining you this morning. And so now's our time for reading comments. Again, whatever platform you are on, please feel free to leave a comment. We will try to get to them over the course of the day. And I'm just going to be sharing a little sampling here. And and wishing everyone a great weekend coming up. So here we go. Got a bunch of comments today. All right. Okay. Kim, good morning to you, my friend. Marcus, always good to see you, buddy. Marianne, great to see you as well. Good morning and hope you have a great weekend ahead. And same out there to you down there in Maryland, Patty. Sherry writes, again, another byproduct of the quarantine, a stripping away of so much of the false self. There was no need to project anything to anyone. Boy, Sherry, that's really big, right? And it's yeah, and a little aside here, we have this little tiny, like as big as this room, little tiny, teeny tiny cabin out in Lancaster, and just to watch the Amish folks do their thing, it's like they're on to they're onto something. I keep on thinking. Uh, Gene writes, thank you so much. Really struck a chord with me today. Well, no problem, Gene. Glad to have you join us. Brandon writes, good morning. Yeah, boy, that's really good. Carl writes, what is the source of Roar's false self, true self transition? Would help a lot to encounter his explanation about how that happens, what it evolves, what we need to do. Yeah, and Carl, that's such a good question. I don't have a ready answer off the top of my head. I want to say that. I do more and more feel like these are descriptions of what God is doing and versus what we need to do. And Rohr would say the biggest transitions of life only happen one of two ways: through great love, which is interesting, right? Or great suffering. And I have found that to be true. I don't know whether we can necessarily, I think all of us on this would agree. It's hard to sort of jump stages or to like get to the end of the book right away. It just takes time. And again, I think there's something about it, right? Like just, yeah, this is what God is doing, not so much about what we need to do. And obviously we play our role in all that. So anyhow, that's a whole another sermon there. Linda writes, sacred no, really need to look at what this means to me. Have a wonderful weekend. Yeah. So it's we all have a sacred no. And I think God would want us to have a little humor around it. I mean, we're so goofy, right? We're so goofy. And I love like little stuff, driving down to see our daughter last night, and I'm worried about traffic and then parking and then all this is nothing of reality. That's the stuff that totally gets to me. Melissa writes, good morning and happy Friday. Well, great to have you joining us, Melissa, live. Mary writes, great discussion question. Yeah, Carl, maybe we're gonna have to throw that in a small group question because it's a really good question. Yeah, something to ponder for this weekend. All right, friends. Well, listen, I went a little long today. My apologies. Much love to all of you. Again, if there's anything I can do to give you a hand, please don't hesitate to shoot me a note at chuck.blair@newchurchlive.tv. Or leave it in a comment somewhere. Just make sure you tag my name in the comment so I make sure it doesn't get lost in the shuffle. So take care, friends. God bless. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.